The NFL draft is done and over, and I am going to be breaking down each and every team and grading out their draft. So check back every day because one team I will do every single day, and I'll have it up here on YouTube for you to watch. We'll go over every prospect that they drafted as well as some key undrafted free agents that they may bring in. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I'll be sure to address them for you. Also, just be aware on my draft grades, no one fails the draft, especially right after it. Even no one in this draft is going to get a D or an F from me because everyone had a talent. Everyone did something. So if you think the grades are a little bit high, that's just me not going to too much extremes. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, when we look back on this draft, then we can see who really succeeded and who really failed. So sit back, relax, enjoy me as I break down every single team this year. The draft expert, Shane Hallam, shows off his knowledge. Writing mock drafts, prospects from the best college. Breaking down tape, he might develop a man crush. Tearing up guys, taking questions in a rush. Comparisons, learning lessons, Shane saves the day, oy vey. Hulk or Banner, doesn't matter. Listen, cause here's who can play. Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over the Houston Texans draft. The Houston Texans had kind of an up and down draft. Some good picks, some picks I thought were reaches. In the first round they took Kareem Jackson, cornerback out of Alabama at number 20 overall. Probably a little bit of a reach for him, but I'm a big Kareem Jackson fan. You watch him on tape and he sticks to defenders, very physical, very good at make-up speed. The one thing he lacks is explosion out of the gate, so if you get a very explosive wide receiver on him, then he's going to struggle at cornerback. Play like a Steve Smith on Carolina will probably zoom past him and he'd have trouble with that. But really, he's probably a good number one corner against most number one guys in the NFL. So I like the pick. I think he's a good replacement for Donta Robinson. In the second, they took Ben Tate, running back out of Auburn. They needed a running back to pair with Steve Slayton. Rumor was if Ryan Matthews was available at 20, they would have taken him. So that's why the Chargers traded up. So Ben Tate, though, is a guy that I was pretty impressed with at Auburn. He has a little bit of wiggle. He's a big guy, pretty fast, ran the 4.4s at the combine. He's someone that'll run you over. He gets physical. He's very good vision. He knows where the hole is. And, there are times, though, when he'll just run behind the guard and not find the hole. But if it's pretty close, pretty big, he'll find it most times. So I think his vision's pretty good. So I was really impressed with Ben Tate this year. And he stepped it up as a senior. There's obviously some injury concerns with a guy that size running the way he does, running the way he did at Auburn. But he comes from Auburn. A lot of good running backs came out of there. So I think he's a perfect complement to Steve Slayton. I don't think he's never going to be a workhorse 250, 300 rush type of guy. But it'll be a good complement and someone you can use for those hard yards that the Texans really, really struggled with last year. In the third round, they took Earl Mitchell, defensive tackle out of Arizona. This pick I thought was a bit of a reach. Now, Earl Mitchell was a hard-working guy, good character, recently made the move to defensive tackle, but he's more like a Moby Okoye, who they already have. Good athleticism, someone that needs to learn a little bit, but he'll be more of a penetrator than a run stuffer. I think the Texans need really a good nose tackle. They need a run stuffer there. So I was a little surprised with this pick, a little surprised with Earl Mitchell. I understand it. He's a local guy, comes from the Houston area. He's going to work hard, he's going to improve, and he's very raw. So maybe he's a guy that has some upside, but I don't think it's exactly what they needed right now. In the fourth, they took Daryl Sharpton, linebacker out of Miami. Another slight reach for me. I like Daryl Sharpton. He's pretty athletic. I think he can be someone that can rotate in next to Cushing and Ryans. They need a third linebacker there who's consistent. They haven't found a consistent guy yet. I don't think Sharpton's that guy, so I don't know that he helps them any more than, say, Xavier Debe, who they already have on their roster. And in the fourth, they also took Garrett Graham, tight end out of Wisconsin. That pick surprised me as well. They took 2 tight ends last year. They still have Owen Daniels on the roster, James Casey. So they take another tight end here in Garrett Graham, who came from Wisconsin, pretty similar to their other Wisconsin tight end, Owen Daniels. So I just don't know what role he's going to play. I can't imagine he's going to get much playing time. They already have enough tight ends. I'd rather have a James Casey than a Garrett Graham myself. I just think it was a wasted 4th-round pick. The value was pretty good, but that doesn't really justify it. In the 5th, they took Sherrick McManis, cornerback out of Northwestern. And Sherrick McManis has great size, 6'1", 195. He also can move over to free safety, which that's what I thought initially is what they're going to do, but it looks like they're going to play him a corner as a reserve, so we'll see where he ends up moving around. Good size, pretty good athleticism, a little bit raw. He's not someone that's going to step in and start for you at all, but he has all the physical tools coming out of Northwestern. So I like Sherrick McManis. I thought it was a good pick. Everyone that I've talked to that's watched him a little more than I have has been very impressed with him, so I'll take that pick for them. In the 6th, they got Shelley Smith, offensive guard out of Colorado State. Someone that fits their offensive system perfectly. A very good zone blocker, good on his feet. He doesn't have best strength, not great upper body strength, but he gets around. He's able to really do a lot on the pullout, so I think it's going to be a good reserve guard for them. In the 6th, they also drafted Trindon Holliday, who's a return specialist from LSU. Only 5'5", very small, but this is a guy that is pretty raw when returning, but you see the explosiveness. He outran his kick return coverage almost every time at LSU. If Houston has a good special teams coach that can coach him up, can show him some patience, how to be patient, wait for his blocks to develop, this is a guy that could be one of the top 2 returners in the NFL. This also allows Jacoby Jones to move and focus on wide receiver, so I think it adds a new layer for the Texans. Well worth a 6th-round pick, so I like that pick. In the 7th, then, they took Dorin Dickerson, who was a tight end out of Pitt. Going to move him into receiver. Great value for Dorin Dickerson. Someone that showed up at the combine, 6'2". He's a big guy, played tight end, ran a 4.4 flat, one of the fastest 40s at the combine. People just didn't know where to put him. I think he fell because he's not a tight end. He's not going to block for you. He's not exactly the biggest guy in terms of a tight end that you look for. So do you move him out to wide receiver? Well, he's a little bit too big. Is he going to be able to last with some of the guys that cover him? I don't know. Looks like they're going to move him out into the slot. I like the pick. The value's good. He's going to stick it wide out. We'll see if he works out. But I think it's a low-risk, low-reward type of pick for them. And I think it could work out when all's said and done. So overall, some picks I like. I like Kareem Jackson. I like Ben Tate. I still think for both of them it was a little bit earlier than they should have gone. I'm not a big fan of the tight end picks of Garrett Graham. I don't like the Earl Mitchell, Daryl Sharpton picks. I thought those aren't going to add a lot to this team. I thought there were better guys on the board that they could have gotten. I give them a B-. B- is going to be my grade for that. It's not that it was a bad draft. I think it can be a good draft. I don't think it is a great draft. So for me, it shows me a little bit above average. I think they're going to get a good starter out of Kareem Jackson. They'll get a good compliment out of Ben Tate. But I don't see too much more than that. I think Earl Mitchell's a little raw. Doesn't really fit their system well, what they need. Sharpton, same type of thing. Don't think he'll ever be a starter. Maybe Holliday has that niche return specialist role. Maybe Dorin Dickerson works out. There's a lot of what-ifs for me in this draft, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think they could have made a little bit better picks. So I'm going to go with a B- for Houston. In terms of undrafted free agents, no one really stands out to me. Isaiah Greenhouse, fullback out of Northwestern State, probably the only one that I noticed or that I know too much about. Small school fullback, more of a power guy, probably not going to make the team. I don't see any impact out of the undrafted free agents for the Texans either. So there you go. Houston Texans. Tomorrow we're going to go over the Indianapolis Colts, so be prepared for that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Keep on watching, subscribe, comment. Tell me what your grade is on the Houston Texans.